Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Virginia. This is 4 o'clock on Thursday, the last time we'll come together live this week. And remember that we're going to get through this, and we're going to get through it together. We have a lot of information today. My guess is that we will go over the hour, but it's important to get it out. Some exciting information, first on economic development, then another tough COVID report, but a little lower on cases than the last couple of weeks, but a really hard death count today. And then a whole lot of information on vaccines in a couple of different ways. And I think most of that information is pretty exciting. And then we'll make sure that we also continue to explain what some of the various numbers that we post mean and what we have control over and what we don't. But let's start out with some really positive news for the Commonwealth. Today, we announced another great economic development project for Kentucky, and one that signals a shift towards the future of the automotive industry. Leaders at Hitachi Automotive Electric Motor Systems America are establishing a new 200-job operation in Berea to produce motors for electronic vehicles manufactured by Honda of America. This new business is going to provide quality job opportunities for those in Berea and in Madison County and around, with an average hourly wage of $27, including benefits. It also positions us as a state to not only better serve the automotive industry, which has so many facilities in Kentucky, but to be on the cutting edge of the future of that industry, not to be a provider of parts of the past, but making sure that we are ensuring the future of our automotive jobs here in Kentucky. This new Hitachi subsidiary was established in Kentucky in March of this year, and company leaders worked diligently over the past 10 months to navigate the challenges caused by this pandemic and to make this a reality. The project is going to use a sister facility in Berea already to begin operations, and work's being done right now to renovate that space. Company has created 20 jobs already, and that's going to grow to about 200 as production begins in 2022 or early 2023. Hitachi has been a great partner and a great company in Kentucky for years, with 4 facilities currently operating in the state. That's 2 manufacturing plants in Berea and manufacturing and warehouse operations in Harrodsburg. I'm thrilled that this company has such a positive view of our workforce and of it being a great place to live, that they continue to expand and even pick us for some of the most high-end and high-tech parts of their business for the future. Now, long-term commitment of companies like Hitachi reiterates what we already know, that we have all the tools to build a brighter future and a better economy if we take advantage of the opportunities we have before us. I'd like to welcome Hitachi Automotive Electric Motor Systems America to Team Kentucky. I can't wait to see what the future has for this company. And think about it, folks. In the midst of a pandemic, we have a next generation company that's going to open up, employ 200 folks in Berea. That means that we can fight for our future even while we're fighting this virus. All right, second announcement is about activation of the National Guard for help during inauguration in Washington. The peaceful transfer of power is one of the bedrocks of our democracy. Historically, the Kentucky National Guard has assisted in and around Washington, D.C. During presidential inaugurations. But given the attack, the January 6th attack on our U.S. Capitol, on lawmakers, that domestic terror attack that took the lives of Capitol Police, more of our soldiers and airmen have been requested to be there, and we have said yes, absolutely yes. It is our job, it is our duty to provide these great Kentuckians to ensure that peaceful transition of power occurs and to stand up to domestic terror when we see it. I'm proud that our guardsmen and guardswomen will be there to protect our nation and to ensure safety during this period of time. The Kentucky National Guard will send approximately 270 personnel to the region. These brave men and women who proudly serve this Commonwealth are going to proudly serve in Washington, D.C. over the inauguration. Adjutant General Lamberton and I are grateful to the families and employers of these service members who provide unwavering support. Additionally, I'd announce, but we're not going to provide any further details, that the Guard has also been activated to assist in security here in Frankfort for any planned acts of terror that might be perpetrated by anybody out there. We will have the sufficient resources. We will be prepared to ensure that what happened in the U.S. Capitol does not happen here in Kentucky. That's our commitment, and we'll be ready. Our COVID update today. A large number of cases, 4,084 new positive cases of COVID-19. But that is down from this day last week and the week before. Currently hospitalized, 1,661 Kentuckians. That's down 41 from yesterday. Currently in the ICU is up 6 to 409. When we look at our ICUs, there are some regions we're concerned about, but still capacity throughout the state. While it could change quickly, we are not where, say, Los Angeles County is, which is absolutely full, and what we are seeing in some other states. But again, with numbers this high, that can change and change quickly. 29 fewer Kentuckians on a ventilator, 196, though that's not always the result of a good outcome. New cases by county, and it's, I believe we have cases in all but one Kentucky county. Jefferson, 642, Kenton County, 235, Boone County, 176, Oldham County, 176, Fayette County, 172, Warren, 139, Pulaski, 131, Campbell, 126, Morgan, 115, Davis, 101. A lot of other counties on here, eastern, western, northern, south central Kentucky. It should just tell everybody that it is everywhere. And at this point, if you didn't want to wear a mask before, wear it for your own personal safety. Everybody should be wearing a mask when they are indoors around people outside of their household. And you ought to be carrying one with you outdoors at any time that you would come within 6 feet of other people. Got to do it. With what we're seeing right now, it's the most effective tool of fighting this virus, and it prevents any other steps from having to be taken. If you are a business, enforce that mask rule right now. If you don't, the likelihood that someone with COVID is spreading it in your facility is higher now than it has ever been. And if we do have a mutated virus that is spreading 50% or more aggressively right now, the risk is much higher than it's ever been. Do it for the safety of yourself, of your workers, of your customers. Hard day today on deaths. 51 new deaths that we're announcing that COVID-19 contributed to here in the Commonwealth. And that puts us past an awful milestone. We now have 3,042 Kentuckians that we have lost to this virus. We'll be working on a plan over the next couple weeks to again honor those that we've lost. It felt like just the other day that we were on the front steps of the Capitol after we lost our 2,000th Kentuckian, and we reached 3,000 far too quickly. Please think about these families. Think about the toll that this has taken. Please, let's do what it takes to defeat this virus, and that's whether you're up here rethinking legislation or whether you're in your community on what you can do. Losing over 3,000 people. I mean, we're at war. We are absolutely at war. We are suffering more casualties than most wars we've ever fought in. Let's treat it like it. And this is going to be hard. All right. Today, we're announcing the deaths of an 81-year-old man in Bath County, a 78-year-old man in Carroll County, a 73 and an 89-year-old woman in Carter County. A 68-year-old woman in Clay County. This is a healthcare worker. An 86-year-old woman in Davis County. An 89-year-old woman in Fayette County. A 69-year-old man in Gallatin County. An 87-year-old woman in Graves County. 5 individuals in Hardin County. 86-year-old woman, 77-year-old man, another 77-year-old man, an 82-year-old man. Remember, these don't all happen on the same day. They go through our process to where we ensure that indeed COVID-19 was a contributing factor to their passing. 76-year-old woman from Henry, a 63-year-old woman, and an 84-year-old man, both from Hopkins County. From Jefferson County, a 76-year-old woman, an 80-year-old woman, a 63-year-old man, and a 77-year-old man. 85-year-old woman from Lincoln County. 2 individuals from Livingston, 55-year-old man and a 68-year-old man. 71-year-old woman from Logan County. Folks, we're almost halfway through. That's what this virus has done to us, at least today. An 86-year-old man from Logan County. A 95-year-old woman from Lyon County. A 61-year-old man from Madison. 89-year-old man from Mason. 86-year-old man from Mercer. 3 individuals from Montgomery County, an 85 and a 95-year-old woman and a 99-year-old man. In Muhlenberg, we lost a 90-year-old woman and a 92-year-old man. In Ohio County, we lost a 79-year-old and a 90-year-old woman. In Pulaski County, 60-year-old woman, 73-year-old woman, and a 77-year-old man. Robertson County, 2 women, ages 93 and 52. Russell County, a 55-year-old woman. Taylor County, a 72-year-old woman. Wayne County, 2 individuals, both men, ages 76 and 80. 4 individuals from Whitley County, 2 women, ages 47 and 83, and 2 men, ages 62 and 86. And in Woodford County, a 74-year-old woman and a 78-year-old man. And today we have a memorial. And this is another person that I knew personally, whose family I know personally, whose son I talked to on the phone and actually even texted me the other day, just making sure that that I was safe. So today we share the loss of Lewis Bass, known to many in Louisville and throughout Kentucky as Sonny. He was 99 years old. Everybody in Louisville knew Sonny. They did. He was a beloved community leader who was always ready to jump in and help others. His granddaughter, Anna, said his true loves were his family, U of L, and giving back to his community. And that was apparent through his work and philanthropy efforts. Sonny was born in the west end of Louisville and dedicated his life to helping the entire city succeed. He was a 3-year football letterman and a 2-year letterman in basketball at the University of Louisville before serving his country in World War II. When he returned to Louisville, Sonny took the first step in his many business ventures, which included co-founding what is now known as Humana. Sonny was a gifted tennis player. He played competitively into his golden years. He was ranked number 1 in the seniors tennis in Kentucky for 10 years in singles and doubles and won a gold medal at the Maccabi Games in Israel in 1986. He played on Louisville's Volvo tennis team, which took home the national title in 1989. But his greatest achievement was meeting Gladys, his wife of 74 years, and beginning the family he loved so much. Gladys, Sonny, and many other family members were infected with COVID. I remember when that happened. But unfortunately, it hit Sonny the hardest. Despite the efforts of those at Baptist East Hospital, he passed away on December 11th. Gladys is recovering and thankful for her family. She's thankful her family was able to locate caregivers to help with her recovery despite the challenges of the virus. Sonny's special. Not only did he accomplish so much professionally in his community, my goodness, look at that family, but he also made everyone who came into contact with him smile. He'd often be seen making dogs out of beads he carried with him for his children and staff at restaurants, or treating those he saw to a quick magic trick just to brighten their day. We live by the motto, it only takes a minute to give a little joy and see a smile. Anyone who knew Sonny can't help but smile when they think of him. He's a great all-around man. Today we lift up Gladys, his entire family, including Steve and Terry. It's a huge loss for them and the entire, not just community of Louisville, but for the state. So today we mask up for Sonny. All right, long-term care facility update. 64 new residents testing positive, 34 new staff, 22 new deaths attributable to individuals in long-term care. All right, now for good announcements. I think we need some of that positivity, and some of these are exciting. So first, let's talk about vaccination of K through 12 personnel, our educators, who agreed to be vaccinated. You may remember that when we talked about making this group a priority so our schools can be open safely, we set a goal of starting those vaccinations the week of February the 1st. Well, I'm excited to report that our vaccination efforts are increasing at a rapid pace, and that has allowed us to not only do the planning, but to start some of these vaccinations. And today we can announce that we believe that we will have all of the K through 12 personnel that agreed to be vaccinated through their first shot of vaccination by the end of that week we said we'd start, February the 1st. This is really exciting. This means on something as important as vaccines, we're actually beating deadlines, maybe even getting them partially done before we thought we would be able to start them. This is going to mean with the second dose, just a month after, that our educators are going to have real and significant defense against this virus for their own health. And after that second shot, first week or couple weeks of March. This is important. These folks have worked really hard when they've had to be virtual. They're asked to do a job where oftentimes they will come in contact with a lot of people, some of which have hard times wearing masks or social distancing. And I want to thank Dr. Stack, who's with us here today, for making this a reality, and for I don't know if he underpromised, but he definitely overachieved with this one. So exciting news for our educators. All right, I also talked about, that's a big announcement, another big announcement that we're making this week, and that is we have entered into and we're announcing a partnership with Kroger to increase our vaccinations here in the coming months by helping us to stand up high volume drive-through vaccination centers in regions across Kentucky. They will be supplemented by other organizations standing up similar types of drive-through facilities and providing vaccines in other ways. Remember, back to the days when we were trying to build our testing infrastructure, where we were having to tell people, we need you to wait. We don't have enough labs. We don't have enough places that can do it. You have to go to your doctor to get a test. Everything changed with our partnership with Kroger. They took us from wondering when we would be able to test anybody who wanted to test and made it a reality. I remember standing at this podium, which by this point I feel is attached to my legs, but I remember standing at this podium on the day that we could say we were opening it up. I remember because we were looking at the numbers in Pikeville to anybody who wanted one, and how that changed for the better our attack on this virus. That partnership with Kroger, taking our experience and their experience, created the national model of drive-through testing. It's what the U.S. uses now in their surge testing. So this is a very exciting announcement that's going to help us truly do more and do better with vaccinations. The regional areas are going to open the week of February the 1st. The week before that, we'll announce how many are statewide and where they are and how to sign up. Here's another exciting piece. At that point, all these regional areas will be providing vaccines to anyone all the way down through 1C. So in those regional centers, and that's everybody above 60, everybody who has a condition that defined by the CDC that makes COVID especially dangerous, all essential workers as defined by the CDC. This is going to open up the opportunity at these facilities starting the week of February 1st for everybody who falls in those categories, or 1B or 1A. So it is exciting. And to help us with this, we have brought on a new project manager, kind of like Mark Carter was with contact tracing. That's somebody already working for this administration that many of you know, that has done everything from running a sophisticated company to the city of Lexington. So let me introduce our project manager for this part of our vaccination effort, Jim Gray.
Governor, thanks very much. And I want to say that this is of course, it's a tough and challenging project, but it's also a real honor that you'd asked me to be involved in it and to help and assist Dr. Stack and your team and with such incredible work that's really remarkable work that's already been done. The work that's been done to get us to this point is nothing short, as I said, of remarkable. And we want to thank Dr. Stack for continuing to lead us as a critical partner in our delivery system that's going forward. This is all about Team Kentucky delivering on an ambitious life-saving project. Now, the team that will be moving forward, Governor, as you know, we will be coordinating with the Department for Emergency Management, Kroger, as you've mentioned, and other partners to establish regional hubs to vaccinate as many people as possible as the vaccine quantities increase over the next few months, over the next few weeks and months. Now, as you've already said, I'm just going to dig into this just a little bit more, some of the details on the Kroger arrangement. First, new shots will be administered beginning the week of February 1st at our regional sites. That's what Kroger will be helping us stand up. Now, this regional system will grow over time to reach even more Kentuckians. We will not be announcing specific sites today, but let me tell you what we are doing. As we speak, we are working to get sites evaluated and secured, and we'll be releasing more information in the coming weeks. Importantly, as you've already said, we are committed to ensuring equitable distribution of the vaccine. Every Kentuckian will have access to the vaccine, and everyone will have their turn. We will be starting with regional high volume sites, and over time, Kroger's existing network will come online. There will also be a federal program that will come online, which will expand our volume even more, bringing the vaccine as close to everyone's homes as possible. Now, details will be available as we know more about the number of doses that Kentucky will be supplied and when. And that's a process that Dr. Stack will continue to guide and lead. And importantly, you're going to hear from Kroger's Megan Brown in just a minute. We are creating tools to ease the process of getting an appointment, building a registration website where Kentuckians can go to determine when they're eligible for the vaccine and to schedule appointments. We'll also be establishing a hotline so citizens can make a phone call to find out when they're eligible and to schedule an appointment as they become eligible. Our plan involves announcing our first regional site and launching the website and hotline on January 28th. Anyone in phase 1 will be able to begin scheduling appointments on the 28th. And again, Kroger will begin administering the vaccine during the week of February 1st at our first regional site. Now remember, and I'm coming to closing here, while we're doing our best to make getting your vaccine as simple and seamless as possible, this is going to take some time, and our system relies on the speed of the vaccine manufacturers and releases from the federal government. So we continue to ask for your patience. To say it one more time again, everyone will have their turn. This project announced today will get the vaccine in every arm that wants it as quickly and safely as possible. Meanwhile, as the governor has said routinely, keep wearing your masks, social distancing, and washing your hands. Back to you, Governor.
Thank you. Secretary Gray made a really good point there that we can build any infrastructure, but how quickly and how many people we can vaccinate depends on how much the federal government gives to us. Last week, we provided more vaccinations than we received in doses because we still had one from the week before. But there's going to be a point where we are just strictly limited by how much the federal government provides. And I'll go to how we learn about what we get and when we learn in a minute, because we've got Megan Brown from Kroger, who has been, again, an amazing partner to us throughout the course of this pandemic, helping us build the critical infrastructure we need. I want to thank her, thank Kroger, and turn it over to her.
Thank you, Governor Beshear, Dr. Stack, Secretary Gray, and the entire Kentucky operations team for all you're doing for the Commonwealth. We are proud to partner with the state of Kentucky on efforts to make sure all Kentuckians have access to the COVID-19 vaccine as quickly as possible. This partnership comes in addition to efforts currently taking place across the nation and aligned with the federal rollout plan. Kroger Health's vision is to help people live healthier lives, and it has never been more important as we help to expand testing across the Commonwealth. This work, like all work we do, is guided by our values and our promise to feed the human spirit. We continue to make decisions that balance the safety of our associates with our commitments to our customers and communities. Kroger Health will support the phased approach, focusing first on priority populations as defined by federal and state governments. The state of Kentucky is currently in phase 1A, as we've discussed, with the vaccines access prioritized for healthcare workers and those in long-term care facilities and assisted living facilities. Phase 1B vaccinations are expected to begin in mid-January and then rapidly expand to all phase 1 aspects starting February 1st. This includes, again, anyone age 60 years of old or age 60 or older, as well as all Kentucky adults with health conditions that increase the risk of severe illness from COVID-19, as well as our essential workers. Our first mass regional drive-through clinic will begin the week of February 1st. The location and scheduling again and details will be shared publicly on January 28th. Once more vaccines are available, the efforts will consist of a combination of mass vaccine events across the Commonwealth, as well as scheduled appointments at the little clinics and pharmacies within the Kroger family of store locations. Again, these announcements will be coming to you January 28th and begin the week of February 1st. Kroger stands behind this vaccine. We are strongly encouraging all customers and associates to receive the vaccine to curb the spread of COVID-19 in our communities. And we'll do all we can to ensure there is access as soon as it's available. We are so proud of the work our teams are doing, and we know Kroger and Governor Beshear's team make a truly formidable team in this fight. We can't thank you again, Governor Beshear, and back to you.
Thank you, Megan. Our goal, again, save lives, get everybody vaccinated who wants the vaccine, create another national model, because if we do, it means we're serving our people better than anywhere else. That's our commitment. Let's give you an update on where we are on vaccinations. The pace is really picking up. I am very optimistic about where we're going. Total doses administered in Kentucky, now 172,537. And I want to break down where those are, because we need to answer some questions about who has what vaccine. There are two programs going on right now. There is the state program. That's where we are vaccinating people in 1A and in some places 1B, and then in 1C. And then there's the long-term care program. The long-term care program was set up by the federal government. They decided the providers. They generally decide the schedule, and everything is shipped directly to those federal partners, which are CVS and Walgreens. So when you look on here, first long-term care, and then Dr. Stack's going to talk about the state program. Adam Mather's going to talk about long-term care. You see there the biggest difference between total doses received. We didn't receive those. Those are with them. And total administered. Under that federal program, we were required to go ahead and to send every bit of vaccine they're going to need to get through that program. And you're going to get an update on where that is. We didn't have the choice to send these other places. And so these are ones that while we are pushing, and I hope we're pushy, and while we are coordinating and while we are tracking, we're not in direct control of the speed of this piece, but it needs to go fast, and it needs to go faster. State program is different. This is the one that we are directly responsible for. This is the one that will, the long-term care program will go offline, but we'll be able to put everything into, we hope, February 1st or around that. And let me show you the pace, which is what I'm really excited about. If you'll pull up the stair stepper graph. So there was always going to be a bit of a learning curve as we built up partners and providers around the state. Last week, we did almost twice the number of vaccinations as the week before. And in fact, we did more vaccinations last week than we received from the federal government in doses, exceeding over 60,000 vaccinations when we only received about 57,000 doses. This means that we are on track as we ramp up to meeting that goal of 90% of all doses in, and maybe even exceeding that goal into people's arms in 7 days from when it's received. And in fact, with the structure we're building and with so many folks out there who want to provide this vaccine for all the right reasons, one of our biggest concerns is we're going to hit the point where we're going to be able to go through what we are given each week pretty quickly. And then it's going to be all of us just sitting and waiting for more vaccine. Now, one of our challenges right now is people knowing how much vaccine they'll have. Here's the reason. The federal government tells us each Tuesday how much vaccine we're going to have the following week. Not even a full week heads up. And right now, they have not guaranteed a specific amount week in and week out. We basically sit watching the computer on Tuesday, waiting for it to come in for Moderna and for Pfizer. We then have until I believe it's Friday at 9 a.m. to tell the federal government everywhere it ought to be shipped. So we get it Tuesday, and it came about 5 o'clock, I think, this last Tuesday. And then we have to take those numbers, determine where they go out. And that's why it's on Friday that a local health department or a hospital learns what they have the next week. It's just the way the federal government has set up that timing. Our hope is that it will get more uniform and allow us to plan further in advance. Another big hope is that the manufacturing pace increases, but that we get another vaccine approved. Johnson & Johnson is waiting out there. It's a single shot. We hope that it is effective and that we'll be able to deploy it. Now, I don't believe that there is as much stored manufactured of that vaccine as there was some of the others right at the beginning. So, but that could supplement what we have and pick up our pace. So next we will have Dr. Stack talk about the state plan. Then he'll kick it over to Adam Mather to talk about the federal plan, the long-term care plan. But I am excited that Dr. Stack is back. He is incredibly important to everything that we have done. And he's also showing another example of how we got to stand up as Americans to hatred, to intolerance, to bullying. We either do it now or this becomes our new normal. I'm proud of his courage. Here he is.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. The Governor and Secretary Gray have already shared some of these items. I'm going to repeat them again. I think they bear repeating just to make sure everyone remembers. We have all of our phases announced. And so 1A started in December and is ongoing in January and involved long-term care facilities, assisted living facilities, and CVS and Walgreens, which Adam Mather will speak about shortly, has been working on those through a federal program. Healthcare personnel, which began in December, largely through the hospitals, now has expanded to involve hospitals and health departments. Folks, I know it's been challenging. We had to build a system from scratch. There was no federal money given to do that until after Christmas, and the money is only now in the future going to become available. So we had to build it after we got the vaccine. So it was a challenge, of course. And I hope that in the month of January, I have said all along that I believe by the end of January, most healthcare personnel who want to have started the vaccination series will have had the opportunity, but none of these phases will end decisively. They'll be ongoing as there's a tail for the residual people who are in that phase to be vaccinated, and we move on to next phases. So I'm confident that most healthcare personnel will have access. And in many communities, I realize this is not all. I realize this may not be your personal experience, and we're striving to find more ways to make it accessible to you. But in many communities, the smaller communities in particular, they are finding that the demand is decreasing already for phase 1A. And in those communities, of course, they have fewer healthcare personnel, and the other ones will have to keep at work until we reach you all. Phase 1B is first responders and K through 12 personnel, and also individuals 70 and up. First responders have been addressed since December a little bit, now much more in January, and I hope that we should reach all of them by the end of January. For the K through 12 community, if you're watching this and you're in the educational community for K through 12, I understand some of you don't have all the details yet. Remember, we said we would start the week of February 1st. We've said that all along. It's a real excitement and quite frankly, quite a lot of work to get this program finished almost entirely by the end of the first week of February, where everyone will have started their first dose by that time. A number of entities have already started. Some counties have already given their first doses to all who are interested. Others will be ongoing in the weeks that follow. Just a word on this. Let's focus on the positive, please. The people of Kentucky are making a real investment in our children and the educators and others in the schools who feed them, protect them, who keep the buildings ready for them, who transport them. We've made a real investment by prioritizing K through 12 educators and the rest of the community so that our kids can get back to school and get back on track. The fact that a school may happen next week for vaccination or happen last week or happens at the end of January or first week of February, you are all being very prioritized to help our schools and our kids. Phase 1C is much larger. In Kentucky, it's 60 and up healthcare people with healthcare conditions that are proven to be associated with severe COVID, and then also the CDC defined essential workers. For the essential workers and for those with healthcare conditions, the CDC has defined that list, and we are mirroring it exactly. If they evolve it, we will evolve it to mirror theirs exactly. So we're not redefining that. And then, of course, phase 2 and 3, which are healthy people under the age of 60. And that won't happen probably until we get around the summertime, most likely just based on the quantities of vaccine that we have and how it's coming in and how we'll have to work on that. So folks, for timeline, I just want to put this in perspective. I tell you that I read history, and I think perspective really helps and it matters. The month of December, wow, 2 new vaccines in record-breaking time to help bring light to the end of the tunnel and bring an end to this pandemic. It's nothing short of amazing. But 2 new vaccines with all the science unfolding and all the guidance unfolding, the funding sources unfolding, the end of the year holidays, there are many, many reasons it was going to be very difficult in those first few weeks. It from the very beginning was clear that January would be a month of bringing order to chaos and order to disorder as we build systems and scale up. As I tell you that we are confident we will have made solid progress on the 1A and 1B populations, it is not lost on me. And I want to ask, I know I've got a lot of folks here who are 70 and over who have expressed your support for the way we've tried to share information and try to help keep you safe. I know you want the vaccine and we're going to get it to you. We had to build systems. It's difficult. There's 490,000 people or so 70 or over in the state of Kentucky. It's important that we build systems so you know where to go, how to sign up, and how to find it. And I am so grateful to Governor Beshear for providing such a wonderful partner in this, to have Secretary Gray join me and the team that he will lead And I think you will be proud of the response that Kentucky builds in the weeks ahead. And we will have a system that is scalable so that as we get more vaccine, we can deploy it almost instantly. And you know how to get it, and we can get it as fast as it arrives. To get to this point, thank you to all the health departments and all the hospitals for all the great work you've done, and the others who have selectively helped along the way. We will evolve now to a new system February 1 and beyond. And I think, again, we will all be very proud. In closing, I want to thank everyone for your outpouring of support over the last few days, both for myself and in particular for my family, without whose love and support, my wife and daughter, I wouldn't be able to do this job. I'm going to very briefly step out of the formality of my role for a minute and say that Andy Beshear and Eric Friedlander have certainly earned Best Boss in the World mugs from me at some point down the road. So thank you for your strength and your encouragement the last few days. COVID-19 has been hard on people throughout the state, the nation, and the world. One of the really remarkable things, though, has been to observe the kindness, concern, and love that has been shown by so many people in support of each other throughout this pandemic. The goodness in the world far outweighs the bad. And it is a privilege to serve our state during these difficult times. Continuing in my pattern of quoting wise people throughout history, I'm going to quote someone for the younger audience tonight, or paraphrase, an extra credit if you figure out who it is. So my fellow Kentuckians, I love you 3,000, and it remains, as always, a privilege to serve Team Kentucky. So thank you, Governor Beshear, for the honor and privilege to serve. Back to you. I want Adam Mather. I got to tee up Adam Mather here for the long-term care facilities. You're up, buddy. Yeah, go for it, Adam.
Thank you, Dr. Stack, and great to see you back. I want to also thank our national partners, Walgreens and CVS, for their continued collaboration, and thank the governor for allowing me the opportunity to be a part of this national project and see it to its fruition. So I just want to go over the numbers of last week. Made significant progress, which is exciting. I know a lot of you have loved ones in nursing facilities, long-term care, and so to see them get their first dose of vaccination is just a wonderful feat, and it's a really great feeling. And so as we walk through this, you will see a significant increase week over week. So Walgreens themselves, their clinic, they completed 72 clinics at individual licensed facilities, and that included 3,512 residents and 2,059 staff, as well as they have 23 licensed facilities left to go for their first dose. So we've seen a significant pickup in what's left to be done. And then our other partner, CVS, had 75 clinics last week, and they have 42 centers remaining. And the residents that they were able to vaccinate were 2,973, and the staff were 2,432. They have started some of the second dose clinics, and so we've seen an increase in staff uptake in vaccination. So that's very exciting to see. We would encourage all staff of any healthcare entity to go ahead and get the vaccine as long as it's not contraindicated. It's really critical as we take care of the most vulnerable in the Commonwealth. And with that, I want to thank you, and I will turn it over to the governor. Thank you.
And thank you to Adam. And when he talks about numbers of facilities, we know what the overall numbers are because they have to be licensed. So that program is on track, even if we'd like to see more doses being delivered. I know he's pushing every single day, and we are going to get there. All right, next we have Amy Cubbage to give us an update, which we're going to do every Thursday on unemployment insurance. Amy.
Thank you, Governor. Today, I'm going to talk about a little more information about the virtual appointment scheduling, our implementation of the recent Federal Continuing Assistance Act, and the UI numbers. So first on virtual appointment scheduling, just so people understand it a little bit better, it's a rolling 18 calendar day schedule. So just as an example, today is January 14th, it's day 1. Day 18 would be then Sunday, January 31st. tomorrow, February 1st, will become day 18 and will open up on the calendar. So those should be on the website tomorrow for someone to schedule. So you can check back each day for new appointments that are 18 days out. The appointment hours are between 8 and noon and 1 to 3 daily. We have 16 staffers working, giving us a total of 125 appointments a day. The system will allow you to schedule, reschedule, and cancel appointments and add appointment information to your own digital calendar. It's got one of those downloads, and you can download that and save it. If you forget your appointment information, you can go to the website where this is scheduled, enter your email address, and it can email you your appointment information. And it also sends reminders to you the day before your appointment is scheduled so you don't forget about it. Now, with respect to the Continuing Assistance Act, remember that was the extra $300 a week as well as extra weeks on the pandemic-related claims. The $300 a week, we believe that we've got the programming done and we are testing it, and that should start pushing out next week. And as far as the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Compensation claims, and the Pandemic Extended Unemployment Compensation claims, those were the ones that had only 39 weeks and ran out Christmas week. Congress gave us an extra 11 weeks. Those are now programmed in, so we believe that you can go in and start claiming those within the next week. Even if you had exhausted your previous weeks, you should not have to open a new claim. Again, look for any more information on the Kentucky Career Center website. Now, last, I know everyone is always anxious to hear about our numbers and our progress. We've changed the way, and we've done some looking at our numbers to give a more accurate context for you for the work done by our stellar staff at the Office of Unemployment Insurance since the beginning of the pandemic. Just giving you some top line totals. More of this information will be available from the Labor Cabinet, but the total claims numbers we've received, and mind you, this total number includes duplicates, is 1,539,784. Now that only includes about 665,000 actual different unique claims for about 600,000 unique claimants. The number of claims we have paid or are payable to date is almost 548,000. The number of claims denied is about 27,500. The number that are pending with issues, and these are the stops that people have heard about, is a little over 90,000. But those with no identity issues, again, we talked about this a little last week, where we believe we have a large number of fraudulent claims. So when you segregate ones out where we can't confirm the identity of the claimant, we are only left with 23,236 or so claims. And we have paid a total of over $5.4 billion to Kentuckians. Just a few notes about those numbers. Again, that top line number, that 1.5 million, includes duplicate claims. Again, unique claims are only about 665,000 claims that are representing about 600,000 claimants. Our claims information comes in quarterly. Our denial information is aggregated quarterly, so we only have that up to the end of September. But our claims denial rate is only about 4% of our claims right now, which is which is a much lower number than before the pandemic. And some of that is related to the pandemic-related programs. We're happy we've been able to provide that assistance to Kentuckians. The pending claims that have not been processed, where we can affirm an identity of a person, now only represents 3.5% of the total claims that we have received. And on top of that, almost half of those came in October and November. So those aren't even very aged claims. So we believe we've made a good dent in the backlog of claims that we had at the beginning of the pandemic in light of the large number of claims at that point. One note too, our unemployment rate has been consistently lower than the national average through the pandemic, except for one aberrant month where we were only a tiny bit above. Many months we've been significantly lower than the national rate. So we're very proud of both the assistance that we've been able to give Kentuckians as well as our ability to keep our economy going during the pandemic. And I'll send it back to the governor.
All right. A lot of information today. We'll get to questions, starting with Stu Johnson from WEKU.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Governor. Jim Gray mentioned in his presentation that the specific site for the regional drive-through vaccinations is not being announced yet or hasn't been pinned down. But do you anticipate a number the week in early February? And what about people traveling to these sites? Will you have a number of people signing up from other counties to go to these sites?
We don't have a firm number to announce, but it's going to be sufficient to have enough regional centers around the state to where everyone can travel by driving just a reasonable distance to get to it. It will not be limited, the signups, to individuals of just that county. It'll operate a lot like our larger testing sites that we have, with an ability to sign up either online or through a phone call, but not to sit in a big long line of cars, to have a general time where you can get in, get that vaccine, be monitored in a waiting area before you go on your way. We see the federal government recommending this. It was in our state, our weekly state report. We see other states moving in this direction as well. Shelby Smithson from WKYT.
Hi, Governor. We continue to get questions from viewers about why some people who are not in those highest priority groups are getting the vaccine. Can you explain again why that might happen as we continue to move forward with distribution, especially now with this new partnership?
Right. So we have two goals. One is to try to vaccinate people on the priority list. That's do everybody in 1A, healthcare workers, before 1B, 70 and up, and before 1C, 60 and up, and those with conditions that would make them more vulnerable. Those aren't everybody in those groups, but that's one goal. But the other is 90% of what you get each week in doses have to get in people's arms. And by having that urgency, it's going to push people to different levels at different times, depending on how much they have pulled out of the refrigerator, depending on who doesn't show up at different times, depending on whether or not they still have more doses and it's day 5 or day 6, and they need to get them in people's arms. That's that 90% is absolutely critical. And so the overall answer to people is we've got to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as possible to reach herd immunity to defeat this virus. And even if you see some people that are maybe getting it out of turn, most of the time the reason is doing that sometimes is going to be what's required to keep the pace up to get to immunity. So everybody who gets it, regardless of when they get it, are one step closer to getting immunity. One other reason was we initially sent vaccine out really based on numbers of hospitals and different areas, and not necessarily size of the population. And we're adjusting that now. That's allowed some areas to already do all their school systems, while others haven't gotten through all the healthcare workers. But the real key, because we all want to defeat COVID, and we want to keep everybody alive while we do it, the real key is, I think, the pace of vaccination, which, last week I was very proud of. I hope we do as well, if not better, this week. Karen Czar, WUKY.
Governor, I know you can't necessarily give details, and you've talked about security at the Capitol. Are there any other areas of the state that you've had word on that may cause concern as far as safety or security as we head towards the inauguration? Thank you.
Most of concerns that have been identified have been here in Frankfurt. The FBI particularly has, I don't know if they put out or if somebody had it and put it out, threats made on virtually all 50 state capitals. We did announce today that the National Guard has been activated to help where needed, but I don't want to give these domestic terrorists our game plan. We'll be ready, and we'll be ready. That's my commitment, to keep everybody safe. But again, this is our moment, folks. I said the other day, you can't play patty cake with would-be militias that want to overthrow the government. The paradigm has entirely shifted. Before 9/11, when somebody hijacked a plane, you let them do it because they would land it in another country and negotiate a return of the hostages. That totally changed after 9/11. Now we cannot view these things as simply people who dress up like it's Halloween and want to seem tough and then go home. We saw an attack on our nation's capital. We have seen kidnapping plots exposed in Michigan. We've got to acknowledge what it is, domestic terrorists, and we got to treat it as such. Tom Latek from Kentucky Today.
Good afternoon, Governor and Virginia. Unemployment today took a huge spike nationally. Are we seeing a similar spike here in Kentucky?
We'll need to get the latest numbers. We have been typically under what we'd see nationally, but generally you see patterns that if it's up significantly across the country, it's going to be up at least some here in Kentucky. So Tom, we'll get those to you. Mike Valenti from WLEX. Maybe we lost Mike. Michael Cadigan from Spectrum.
Hello, Governor Beshear. If Kroger is helping with drive-through vaccinations, will all Kroger workers get the vaccine before that rollout? Grocery store workers were deemed essential by the state back in the springtime.
And my understanding is that they will get it during 1C, being able to sign up like anybody else out there. So all food service workers are in 1C. That'll include grocery store workers, those who work in restaurants as well. It's a big list of essential workers. You can find that on kycovid19.ky.gov to see if you were a part of it. Remember, 1C are 60 and up. Essential workers is defined by the CDC, and those that have conditions that could make them more vulnerable to COVID, again, on kycovid19.ky.gov. Dr. Stack, did I miss anything?
The vaccinators are healthcare personnel, so that's the one exception.
Yes, and the vaccinators are healthcare personnel. So if Kroger are hiring new, and they are, they're hiring a bunch, healthcare personnel to give the vaccines, they'll get it as a part of 1A, hopefully before they start vaccinating other people. Ben Tobin from the Courier-Journal.
Thank you, Governor. Regarding the vaccination of educators, what percentage of K-12 personnel in the Commonwealth have agreed to receive the vaccine? And what message do you have for those who have declined to receive the vaccine?
I'm not sure that I've seen the overall number, though I think the Kentucky Department of Education put it out. And if I recall correctly, but if they have, we'll get it to you. It was in the 70 some percentile. And what we're seeing right now is just because if that's the case, let's play with numbers. If 70% have said yes and 30% have said no, we're finding that 30% aren't all hard no's. They are, I want to see other people take it. In the long-term care setting, we're seeing folks that have originally said no coming around and then wanting the vaccine. So I think it's important that we don't think about this as pro and anti-vaccine. Sure, there are some folks that are anti-vaccine. There are some that are just nervous. There are some that want to talk to their doctor about their own conditions, and there are some that want to see other people take it before they do. But I believe the educator community, the percentage is probably higher than the overall population. But any educator that doesn't get it in this priority round can then still get it wherever they would otherwise fall, 1C, 2, et cetera. But at that point, if they've said no up to now, they've got to qualify by age or condition for a second shot for a second opportunity at the vaccine. Chris Otts from WDRB.
Thank you, Governor. Last week, I asked about the Continued Assistance Act. What can people do, or what guidance would you offer them? They want to know what they're supposed to do to receive those benefits. Ms. Cubbage gave kind of a helpful overview of whether you need to file a new claim or not, depending on different situations. But we were told that this information would be on the website. Unless I'm looking in the wrong place, I don't see it on the website still as of today. You wouldn't believe how many people I've got asking for guidance on what they're supposed to do in that regard. And then a second question on unemployment. Have you decided whether to extend the relationship with Ernst & Young? And looking back on it, considering that there is still a backlog 6 months after that started, would you say that has been a success?
Yes, the relationship has been a success. They can show it with numbers. I think we've got about 6,000 adjudications that they had finalized that we've got to get out the door. A lot of hard work. We are still evaluating the future need for that contract. We lose people when we don't have them working with us. I'll turn the other question over to Amy. We do want to be helpful. We want to get information on the website. I know one challenge has been we have been bitten in the past when we get out in front of federal guidance, and then we've been bitten in the past when federal guidance has changed. So our commitment is to get it right. We don't want people to have to wait longer for dollars, but we want to ensure that everybody who's going to get dollars gets them under the new guidance. So, Amy?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for that question. That guidance should be going up no later than Monday. It's in the process of being drafted. We want to make sure we have it as clear as possible, and then we'll have that up on the website, in particular for PUA and PEUC claimants, so that they understand whether or not because I think we've talked about this in the past. If people open a new claim when they should have just claimed weeks, it can hang up your claim. So we want to make sure that people get it right. So we'll get that very clear guidance up on the KCC website. Should be no later than Monday.
All right, and then we'll put out a release as that goes up so that Chris and everybody else is notified, can look at it, can evaluate it, and also get it out to those that are coming to them for help. And we appreciate any help that those in the media or anywhere else are providing to people who need it. Al Cross from Kentucky Health News.
Thank you, Governor. Following up on Ben Tobin's question, what would you say to the people who are still reluctant to take the vaccine? You said the general public percentage was smaller than the educators, so we've got a significant number of people out there. And have you given any consideration to requiring any class of individuals to get the vaccine, to require it?
At this point, we don't anticipate any requirements for individuals to get it. We believe over time and within the schedule of when we're going to get vaccines, that we're going to see more and more people as they see others getting the vaccine, being willing to do it. I want to make sure when we communicate with those that right now don't want to get it, that we're sensitive to folks that are nervous about it and not just saying no, and knowing that we have some time to get those that are nervous about it willing to get it. What I'd say to them is it's safe. I've taken the vaccine, but more than that, I watched one of the people I love most in the world, my wife, get the vaccine standing right next to me. Maybe in the last a couple of weeks with all the terroristic threatening that's out there, I realize more every day how special having her in my life is, and to be confident enough in this vaccine to recommend it to her. I recommend this to my family. I recommend this to people I care about, and I've taken it myself. And I think what you're going to see as we move forward is more influencers, faith leaders, and others stepping out and working with us. I think, Al, you once told me that we need more voices than just mine. That's probably good advice. And so we're going to have that as we move forward with educating and encouraging those that maybe don't have enough information too. At a time when you poll this, that some people only get their news from Facebook, you could understand that they don't have the information that they need to say yes to it. So we need to find people that are where they are at, that communicate with them in everyday life and can communicate how safe the vaccine is. Now, as we're going, there'll also be a point where everybody will know somebody that has had the vaccine and can watch and can see that they are just fine. John Charlton from WHAS.
Hey, Governor, thanks. Hope you and your family are well and stay safe. This might be something more for Ms. Cubbage. She had mentioned that 16 staffers are manning the phone, so to speak, with these phone appointments. How many of them are actually specialists who can actually fix claims? On top of that, how many claims have been processed on average per day and per week? And with the fraudulent claims, could they be mistakes or ID issues? And if so, what's being done to let those folks know?
All right, we're going to send those 5 questions over to Amy.
Okay, hopefully I got all those down. I'm not sure I did. I do believe the 16 staffers are people who can fix claims. So those, you should be able to get the assistance you need if you make one of those appointments. Now, the average per day and per week, I don't know that, but we can drill down and see if we can get that. ID issues, whenever a claimant files a claim and if they fail initial validation, there is an automatic online validation process where you answer some questions about your history. And if you fail that, you were given notice that you failed and you were given the opportunity to upload documents. You have a certain amount of time to upload those documents. We have not been strictly enforcing that, so people have been able to do it. We are going to start moving to a process where we are trying to close out some of the old claims. So if you don't upload your ID documents that have been requested within the requested amount of time, you will get a denial of your claim. It's called, I won't get into it. It's called a 492 document. It's the written determination we've talked about. That then triggers appeal rights. So there's various levels there where you are given the opportunity to validate online, to upload documents, given multiple opportunities to upload documents. And if you have trouble with that and never do and get a denial, you can establish your identity on appeal. I'm sure I missed one. I apologize for that. We'll send it back to the governor.
Well, thank you to Amy. And to give an example, we have some claims that may be 4 months old that we can't validate the person's identity. We have seen significant fraud across the country. There have been multiple attempts to reach out to, if that is a real person. There's been zero response, and months have passed, and that sits there looking like we're not processing the claim when we can't process it, potentially because the person either abandoned their claim. It could be a duplicate where the person has otherwise gotten their claim approved or denied, or it was somebody who doesn't qualify or doesn't exist filing for it. But if there are folks there where there have been mistakes right now, something needs to happen to their claim to get them in the process to where they can validate their identity. But again, continued efforts to reach out to those claims with identity issues continue, but these are the types of claims that the Department of Labor told us that we've got to be actively monitoring and going through this process. Alex Ebert from Bloomberg.
Thank you, Governor, for taking our question. Last week, we saw an angry mob enter the U.S. seat of government. What is going to stop that from happening in Frankfurt, and how is the state going to do a better job at being prepared from stopping the worst from happening?
Yeah, I think we saw more than a mob. I think we saw domestic terrorists attack the U.S. Capitol. Never thought I'd see something like that in my lifetime. It's in the War 1812 because those weren't British troops; those were Americans who were attacking their own country. We are prepared. We will have the man and the woman power. We will not make the mistakes that were made in D.C. And we know that if people show up to try to do that here, they are not a rally, right? They are people who are bent on overthrowing our government. Alex Akisto from Lexington Herald Leader.
Hi, Governor. So CVS and Walgreens have only administered 29% of the total doses they've received at long-term care facilities. I think I heard earlier in the update that there are only 23 facilities left to get their first dose. My question is unwillingness among residents and staff at these places to get the vaccine contributing to the slow pace of rollout? Secondly, how will you ensure educators are contacted by their school district about what steps they need to take to get a vaccine? Can you sort of explain what that process will look like? Thanks.
Sure. So the doses that we show that have been provided to CVS and Walgreens also include second doses. So when we get through all of them and then multiply by 2, that will be the number of doses from Pfizer that they will give. You're right, though, that it looks like there are going to be a certain number that are there that do represent individuals we at least believed were in long-term care as residents or as staff that said no. So yes, it does. If we schedule 12 clinics in one day, and you are limited in many ways because you have to go to the clinic. You can't set something up where people are coming to you when it's long-term care. And a certain percentage of people say no, then you are going to do fewer vaccines that day. So yes. Now, when we are finished with that program, those that declined, if they want it later, are going to have to get it through the regular process. So we will have and use any amount that is left over for those that are willing to do it. And the second piece of the question, Alex, you want to? I know it was a 2-part question. There were 2 different topics.
It was about how will you ensure educators? Yeah, go ahead.
So our superintendents began planning for this more than a month ago when we had made that priority. They have already worked up a plan with their schools. They already know the number of people that have said yes to it. We'll be reaching out to each of the superintendents in the coming days, telling them who their provider is going to be for their school district and telling them the dates that it's going to reach them. At that point, they and that provider take control of that plan to get people in and out. So it'll be contact the superintendent who will put out that communication, but understand that he or she may not have the information right now, and this is going to take a couple days to make it happen. But it's exciting, and again, we need patience. If everybody in this everybody in K through 12 who's willing getting their first shot, hopefully by the end of the first week of February is beating our initial deadline entirely. It's finishing the first half before the projected start date. So even if your school district is getting it that week, please know that the pace is really significant, and we've worked really hard to get it there as quickly as we can. All right, a couple of written questions. Comment on House Bill 3, bill limiting constitutional challenges to the county circuit where they're filed instead of being able to move them to Franklin Circuit Court. I remember when I was Attorney General, we would do cost analysis, fiscal impacts of how much it would cost if we had to defend constitutional challenges, because in the AG's office, you get notice of constitutional challenges even when they're just parts of regular lawsuits. You get them in all the criminal cases. It was going to be hugely expensive and maybe even require offices around the Commonwealth with significantly more lawyers. Our cabinets are going to have much larger expenses if attorneys have to travel anywhere at any time for a potential constitutional challenge. So it's going to cost us money. Now, many times you can already file in a different county. The case that the Attorney General and I guess the Agriculture Commissioner filed challenging our authority to fight the virus, I think was from Scott and Boone counties. So I'm still going to look at the bill, but my concerns are mainly fiscal and whether it is fiscally responsible or the people of Kentucky are going to pay millions of dollars more because of the bill. Is the state telling the 33 regional vaccine sites, these are the regional areas that people in 1A healthcare providers can go to and get their vaccines right now, how many doses they'll be receiving. They get the information in the way that we talked about. We learned the total number of doses on Tuesday. By Friday, we can tell people where it's all going, and that's when they learn what they'll have for the next week. And that's it doesn't give you a lot of time to plan, but that's what the federal government has set and put into place. This is the last one that's a good question to end on. A Louisville resident said his mother is 94 and a shut-in. She cannot get out or go anywhere. How will this group of people get their vaccine? First, I hope that, especially when we're in 1C and you can go through in a car, that this resident is able to help their mom with this. But this is where we really need, whether it's our local health departments or independent pharmacies or others. When I think big, we think about regional sites, but thinking small is how we reach those that want the vaccine, but have challenges in getting to where it might be. That's going to be really important to getting the percentage high enough to reach immunity. And so we think a lot about, again, the big part, but we need those micro plans too, that really only our local leaders, our local healthcare heroes can put into place. Here, it'd be working, I think, with Louisville Public Health, which does a good job, and others in that community that specifically help and work with individuals like this. So as we have all these big things going on, we're going to have lots of micro plans that we're working with individual locations on, and all of it's going to be limited by how much vaccine we can actually get. And I think we're going to reach the point pretty soon where our ability to get the vaccine out quickly far surpasses the amount of vaccine that we actually get. So we need more vaccine approval if it's safe and if it's effective, and we need more manufacturing as we move forward. I know that is a lot of information today, and we went over, but I want to thank everybody who stayed on this long. Let's remember that this country is a special place. It is one where we're also blessed to live here. And it's truly being challenged right now. And if we allow domestic terror to become the norm, we're going to look like a lot of places that we worry about going to visit. You know, most of us in most of our lives haven't felt, have we need your help. We need your help. The only way that we stop this from becoming our new normal is if everybody out there says it's not okay every time that they see it. You have someone that you know that's fallen into this track, talk to them, try to help them out. Have your minister call them. Find whatever it is you need to do so that we don't have more people that go down this path. This will very quickly become, and was already one of the greatest threats to our nation. And at times when our nation is threatened, I'd like to think our people can come together and be Americans first. I'm going to make sure this in the coming days that certainly this city is safe and that we do what it takes to protect this Capitol, our house, from any threat that's out there. Thank you all.